In this lesson, we are going to implement profile screen. When user click on their name, a screen like this should pop up, and in the user profile section, user should be able to see their info and also update information. There is a logout button to remove user information from this computer and log out user from the system. Showing list of orders is the topic of next lessons, and here we are going to focus on this box. Let's create that together. Go to your VS Code, and like previous lesson, we're not gonna duplicate ourselves. Profile screen is very similar to register screen, so we are going to duplicate that and rename stuff instead of building them from scratch. If you don't see the sign-in screen lessons, I highly suggest you to watch them, and by watching them you will understand each line of code in the register and profile screen. Copy and paste register screen and rename that to profile screen. Inside that, I'm going to rename a register to profile, and also at the end it should be profile. There is no need to ask question for sign in, get rid of it. And instead of register button, update button. Good. Scroll up. And what we are going to do at this step is to get user info from local storage. So in the render method, here we have this line of code to check if user.name exists, redirect user to the home page. But in the profile page, we need to check if user is not logged in, redirect that to the home page. Let's do that. I'm defining name and email from get user info. If name does not exist, it means that user shouldn't see this screen and should be redirected to home page. Rename create account to user profile. And here we are going to show user name inside the input box for name. Set value to $ curly braces name. It's the name that we are getting from local storage. For email, it's gonna be like this. Value $ curly braces email. And for password, we're not gonna pass password, and there is no need to have two passwords here. That's it for the form. Let's go to index.js and add profile screen to list of routes. Click Explorer, open index.js, scroll up at this point, and /profile should be profile screen. Select this one to import profile screen right here. Also, there is an error in the home page. When we call a screen.afterRender, some screen doesn't have after render. So here I'm going to have a if condition. If a screen.afterRender exists, then call await a screen.afterRender. By having this line, there shouldn't be any error in your Chrome DevTools. Let's check the results. Here, refresh and click on sign in. Here is the data for sign in, and after sign in and clicking on your name, you see it's user profile. When you click on update, nothing happens. We need to implement updates right here. Let's get to code, and inside the profile screen, at this point, it's register form. Let's rename that to profile form right here. And here and there shouldn't be a register method here. The method that we're gonna use to update the profile is update. Let's go and implement update function. Copy this, paste it right here in the API, go to API and duplicate register method in the API. Rename that to update. At this point, we need to send an authorized request to the server. Let's rename register to the ID of current user, $, curly braces, ID. And what's the source of this ID? Let's get it right here. Const ID and token from get user info. Press tab to import get user info from local storage at this point. So by getting ID, I'm sending an update request to this URL /API/user and /ID of the user. So we need to change method from post to put, because post is for creating a new resource and put is for updating a new resource. In the header section, I'm going to put authorization because it's an authorized URL and everyone cannot update other users' info. Authorization equal to barrier, put a space, put a plus, and send the token right here. If you press Ctrl S, it's gonna convert that to the backtick format. So barrier and space and the token should be passed as an authorization field of header of this request. And here is the data that I'm passing to the backend. And if there is an error, I show that error. Otherwise, I send back the data. Let's check the profile screen right here. And I just save that. In the API, it's update, and here there shouldn't be any error for updates. Good. It's time to go to backend and implement update profile API. What we need to do at this point is to go to user router inside the router folder of backend. Open it, and I'm going to duplicate user router.post and convert that to put because it's a update resource. And the path of this URL should be :ID, and the ID is the ID of user that we need to update. At this point, I don't like to create a new user, so let's get rid of them. And what I'm gonna do is to get this user from database. Await user dot find by ID. Find by ID equal to rec dot params dot ID. And rec.params.id is the value that user entered in this part of URL. If user doesn't exist, I need to send 404 error because the resource doesn't found, and the message should be user not found. Otherwise, if user found, what I need to do is to update user info. Set user.name equal to rec.body.name. If it doesn't exist, use the current value of username in the database and duplicate this algorithm for email and password. Email, and email, password, and password. So if user enter empty password, it should use the current password of user and save it into the database. At the end, I need to call user.save const updated user equal to await user.save and pass this information to the front end, and we need to generate a new token based on it. Let's check the result. Open your terminal here and let's rename admin to my name like Basir and click on update. You see, my name is changed. And if you check the network section, XHR part, and click on this one, you can see the URL is /API/users, the user ID, and the data that I pass to server is email, name, and password. And the result that's sent back by server is the new information of this user. There is a problem in this API and the problem is that it's not authenticated. You know, if someone else send a request, it's gonna update other user information. What we're gonna do to prevent this security issue is to define a middleware, an express middleware to fix that. Let's do that. Go to code and go to util.js in the backend and create this method. Const is auth. It's a middleware. Middleware accepts 3 parameters: request, response, and next. We have worked with request and response, and the next means that when everything goes well, you can call next, and by calling next, the middleware stopped, and the next middleware or the handler will follow processing that request. Inside that, I'm going to read headers.authorization const barrier token equal to rec.headers.authorization. Barrier token doesn't exist. If it doesn't exist, it's empty. I should return an error res.status 401.send, and the message is gonna be token is not supplied. Else part, if token exists. I need to get the token part because barrier token contains barrier space token. I need to get rid of the barrier space. Const token equal to barrier token dot slice 7 and the length of barrier token. So I just cut from the 7 index of barrier token to get rid of barrier space part of the token and just get only the token at this point. So I need to call JWT. Let's import that, like this. Press tab to import JWT and call verify. Verify accept token and JWT secret config dot JWT secret, and the third parameter is callback that contain error and data. If there is an error, it means that the token format is incorrect. If error res.status 401 send message and put message invalid token. Otherwise, everything is okay. Request dot user fill with data. What is data here? The data is decoded token, and the decoded token is user information like username, email, is admin, and etc. And after that, call next. And what is next in this line? By calling next, it means that everything in this middleware is okay, and the next handler should start processing the request. Let's export is off right here, export, and then go to user router, and in the put method for updating profile, right after the ID, put this middleware is off. And we need to import that right here from util.js is off. Great. Let's go back to this function, and now if we send request without providing token, we should get an error. Here, if I open terminal and click here and change it to Basir 1 and then update, what does it say? Token is not valid. So token exists, but it's not valid. Let's log out, cookie, remove, OK, and refresh. I will be redirected to home page because it's a private area. Sign in, and click here and enter Basir 4 and click on update. I'm getting token. Let's fix this issue. Aha, there is a typo here. It should be headers. It should be headers. Let's check result. Click update. You see, this time it just worked. And if you check the request headers, you can see that the authorization work like this. So by using is off right here and use that inside the user router.put for updating profile, we make sure that only the owner of an account can update their information. Let's go for the last part of this lesson, which is implementing sign out. Go to profile screen, and at the very end, right after update, create a new button, set the button type to button, and set the ID of it to sign out button. And update should be sign out. Change the primary. There is no need to be primary at all. And go to after render to add an event to this button. At the very top of after render, document dot get element by ID sign out dash button. Add event listener for click. And what I'm gonna do is clear user information from local storage. Clear user, we need to implement this, and redirect user to homepage. Set hash to homepage. Good. Let's go for clear user. Inside local storage, we are going to implement that. Go to there, and right after set info, create export const clear user. In this function, what we need to do is to local storage dot remove item user info. That's it. Save the profile. Make sure that you have it right here, the clear user, and check the results. Click on your name, click on sign out. You see, this time it's sign in. So sign out work. So let's test again. Click on sign in, and click on your name, click on sign out. Let's check updating profile, sign in, click on your profile, change your name, let's say to add a number next to that, click update. You see, your name changed right here, and if you refresh, it still has your name. That's it for this lesson. Let's review what we did together. First of all, in the util.js, we created isAuth in the backend to authenticate user requests by barrier token validation. After that, in the user router, we defined a new route for updating profile, and before starting processing that request, we make sure that isAuth is validated and user is authenticated to do this request. And then inside the update, first of all, we get the user by its ID, and if it doesn't exist, returns an error. Otherwise, we update the user information. For fields that user do not fill, we pass the database value for them to update. In the API part, we defined a new function for updating user profile, and here we send a request to the backend part to update user information. In the index.js, we added a new screen for profile. When user enters /profile, should be redirected to profile screen, and in the profile screen, which is a new screen in this lesson, we show information about the user and make it possible for user to update their info or log out from a screen. As a last part of this lesson, we created a new method in the local storage, and we clear user info when user click on sign out button. That's it for this lesson. And for next lesson, we are going to continue checkout wizard, because at this point we have all information about the user that we are going to put an order for them, and it's time to follow the checkout wizard. Until that lesson, bye bye.